Namaste, Jai Bharat. Israel and Bharat have, in all likelihood, historic relations. Prehistoric relations it should be. We can only speculate. I don't think that we have solid historical or archaeological evidences, but there are narratives that would support the story of relationship. That apart, that we may come to that later. That apart, such functional relations exist between them for a simple common sense reason that both nations have attitude and difficulties and problems almost alike. Almost alike. If you look at the history of both the nations, both Bharat and Israel are not aggressive. They basically fundamentally stand for peace. They don't want to take someone's property. We don't want to have anyone's 1 inch of land. We don't want to conquer. We don't want to capture. Israel also don't want anything from anyone else. They haven't given barren land when they became a nation first, and they have turned the barren land, desert land, into gardens. That is the stuff with which the Jews are made of. That precisely is the stuff with which the Jews are made of. They've turned that land into most fertile. They would export vegetables to the other barren lands, who gave the worst barren land to them. Now, with all these things, they don't want to attack anyone. They don't want to take anyone's anything. They know how to stand on their own feet. We also, Bharat also, don't want anything from anyone else. We don't want anybody's property. And in fact, our that time Prime Minister Nehru had given away things to other nations, not in his magnanimity, in his foolishness. That's a different thing. But we haven't attacked anyone for our sake. We have resisted only. Even we were mild in resisting many places. Look at the parliament attack. Look at a nation, a parliament is attacked. Now look at the attackers, what they want to do. They simply want to attack and do away with it. The suicide people. They want to show that we are attacking your parliament. That means attacking democracy. And that time this government, that time government, if it is now, they will get it in bags and baggage. That time government kept quiet. Mumbai Taj Hotel attack. The government did not react. But then, if it is a present government, if it is a nationalist government, they would give back. So Israel, another thing common is with Israel and Bharat is that they both are nationalist governments. Now that thing is happening in all over the world. US is becoming nationalist. Germany is turning into nationalism. Italy is already nationalist government. For us, it's nation first. I keep my nation first, they keep their nation first. We have something in common. Their nation first for them, my nation first for me. Now, this nation first thinking people are coming into power. So, for Israel, it was always the case for them, the nation first, because that's a question of the existence of the Jews. If they put down their rifles against attackers, they will cease to exist, and they know it better than anyone else. For us, it's only recently, last 10 years, that we have this nationalist government coming. But otherwise, this nationalism was within the minds of each citizen of this nation, though the government was very weak. They were not that nationalist because they were under the influence of many factors. And their policies were not very pro-national, whatever may be the case. So both nations, they are nationalists. They want their nation to be kept first, and they don't want to attack anyone else. But if attacked, they are very capable of reacting. We only retaliate, we only react, and we don't proact. So there are such many things in common with the Jews and the Hindus. That's Israel and Bharat. These things are there in front of you. When the Pakistan has violated all understandings, because Pakistan can't be accused because they've got 3 administrations. The Prime Minister comes here and makes good talks with our then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and go back immediately after a few days. Their army that person become a dictator, military dictator. Subsequently, their army comes, occupies Bharatiya space, Kargil, and stayed there. He himself stayed there overnight, as we understand. That's the Kargil war. During the Kargil war, Israel stood by us, and that is known to all citizens of this nation. And we are, in capital letters, very thankful. We are always thankful. Now, I say this recently because in an interview, one of the Israeli authority was thanking our Prime Minister Modi for supporting them, being with them. Of course, we are with them. Of course, we are with them for this their fight with the terrorists outfit Hamas. We look at the character of Hamas. There's absolutely deceitful and lies. We have no history of being deceitful and lying. Nor does Israel have any history of being deceitful and lying. Straightforward people, honest people, and another thing, trustworthy people. Fundamentally, by and large, trustworthy people. These things make us together. We have so many things to share. It's easy for us to work with them, be with them, and interact with them, and build our future. So this thing is there. Apart from this another narrative. I'm not sure. I've seen many people claiming that there are evidence. I don't know. First, to begin with, a student of Aristotle once said that Aristotle seemed to have said that the Jews have Hindu roots. I don't know how it is. I'll be happy hearing that. That's a personal thing. But the student of Aristotle quoted his teacher Aristotle say that the Jews have Hindu roots. We are happy with that. Number one. Number two, another narrative is there. If you look at the story of Moses and Bhagavan Sri Krishna, I need not to go into the narrative. Check the stories of both. You find a lot of similarities. All, even the Exodus, everything, you find a lot of similarities. And such similarities, such personality. Then, there's another narrative which I'm not sure, but I'm just telling because I hear it as a narrative. Bhagavan Sri Krishna's kingdom, Dwaraka, which is in Gujarat, interestingly, incidentally, of course, it went under sea, sank. And Dwaraka, as you know, was an ancient port with many vessels. And Gujarat had that history. Not only Gujarat, even the Cholas had great history, maritime history. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj had great maritime history. So not only Gujarat, but I'm telling Gujarat has a history of the Malums, Kachi Malums. The navigators, a friend has written a book on it, Kachi Malums. Malums means navigators. He had gone and found out the logs from archives and made a wonderful book. Unfortunately, the book weighs about 5 kilos, heavy with the plates and all that. His name is Dr. Ashok Raj, and Ashok's book. That book had been working for a long time. And that book was released by our Prime Minister himself from Delhi. So the navigations there, they used to have vessels going to and fro. So that's why I said the story. We had Kutch our own navigators with their navigational knowledge, navigation skills, and the vessels going to and fro. So Dwarka was a port with these kind of activities, and Dwarka went underwater. The underwater remains still there. The water, you have to go on top of the water to crawl from one to the temple of Bhagavan Sri Krishna to Bet Dwarka. That's his castle. You have to go in a boat. And underwater is that submerged Dwaraka. That's what we understand. Actually, I was not fortunate meeting Professor S.R. Rao, who was the department head of archaeology in my university. He had initiated the excavations, underwater excavations, and all things are there. We have one other very good archaeology department in Bharat, our university. So it's Professor S.R. Rao headed, and many other great scholars were involved in the excavation of archaeological excavations of Dwaraka, and most narratives were found correct. So many vessels have left, and one narrative, it's too ambitious, I don't know. One narrative is that some among the Jews are the people who went from Dwaraka to distant lands, finally reaching Israel, distant lands from Bharat, because the entire city got submerged in water. This narrative, such narratives are there. You don't believe the narratives, but then let's look for some points in the narratives. Some valid points may be there. We are not going to make history. This is not even proto history, but there are such narratives. At least this much we know, that we are able to understand one another. The Hindus and Jews are able to understand one another and trust one another. This is a great thing. That's sufficient. That should be sufficient. Though, when we trust them, they stand by us, and they trust us, and we stand by them. We may not be able to extend other kinds of support. We may extend also, who knows. That's international politics. That's a different story. I'm not supposed to know, and I won't speak of it, even if I know. As a trained soldier, what things which I'm not supposed to know, I shall not know. Not knowing is the best thing. If you know only, you'll speak. I don't know. So we have a reasonable relation for many things which they have done to us, Israel. Each citizen of Bharat is ever thankful to them. We know, we can trust them, depend on them, they are with us. Thank you, Israel. We meet again with some other story. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.